Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everybody joining us for this webinar, and welcome. We will start just in a couple of minutes to give a chance for more people to join us. While we wait, I would encourage everybody to say hello in a chat box and tell us where you're zooming in from. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everybody, depending on where in the world you're zooming in from. Welcome to this Hyperledger in-depth webinar, and we'll be starting in just a couple of minutes. And while we wait, I would encourage everybody to use the chat button to say hello and tell us where you're zooming in from. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome to this Hyperledger in-depth webinar with Zeeve. We'll be starting in a minute or two. Please use the chat button to say hello and tell us where you're zooming in from. Hi, Govind, and hello to London. Welcome to the webinar. Okay, we are now already at 30 people, so let us start with the webinar. So first of all, welcome everybody, and very happy to have you here, and welcome to our Hyperledger Foundation in-depth webinar with Zeeve on enterprise DevOps automation for launching and managing your blockchain networks. We're delighted to share with you this webinar and very excited about the presentation. So my name is Tomáš Sedej and I'm an ecosystem manager at the Hyperledger Foundation. Today, I will have the chance to introduce you to our panelists and also do some housekeeping. So if you have joined any of our previous webinars, you know we have some housekeeping rules. So first of all, I would like to emphasize that all are welcome in the Hyperledger community. We are committed to creating a safe and welcoming environment for all. So please follow the Hyperledger Code of Conduct when interacting with one another and also talking to others in the community as well. You can find our Code of Conduct on our wiki or on our webpage. All Hyperledger Foundation member webinars are held under our Linux Foundation antitrust policy, which you can also find on our wiki or on our event page on our website. This webinar is being recorded, so it will be available in our webinar library along with the slides. So you're always welcome to return and check out some information that was shared today. We are also live on YouTube, so also welcome everybody joining us there. So we encourage these meetings or the webinars to be as interactive as possible because, you know, the more interaction and activity we get, the more everybody gets out of it. Please feel free to raise your hand and ask to be unmuted and just ask your questions to our panelists. And if you would prefer not to talk, you are also very welcome to use the Q&A box or the chat button to use the questions, to enter your questions. And the same goes for you joining us live on YouTube. Please feel free to comment there and we will address these questions as we go along. In case some of your questions couldn't get answered, you're also welcome to use our Hyperledger Foundation Discord channel, which I will share at the end of this presentation. So without further ado, I'm very happy to introduce you to today's panelists. So I would like to introduce you to Gan Vashishta, who is the co-founder and CTO of Zeeve. The Sankap Sharma, a co-founder and VP of engineering, and Lakshar Gaur, who is the blockchain architect at Zeeve. We look forward to these webinars, and without further ado, Gan, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Thomas, and welcome everybody. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. We are really glad to have people joining us from across the globe. I'll simply switch to the slides and get off to a start. So today's focus would be on Hyperledger Fabric, and Hyperledger Fabric. This is one protocol which has established its presence across the enterprise space. Delivering a lot of promises which blockchain is supposed to have, and in terms of converting different use cases. And we at Zeeve have been phenomenal in terms of approaching towards the DevOps and making adoptions more possible. And there's no question about blockchain being the real trend of today, the practical trend of today. It's no more a hype. It's no more just in talks. There are so many implementations which are happening, and right now the focus of the whole Hyperledger Foundation, it's been really phenomenal in the sense the way the whole ecosystem is being driven, and we are proud to be part of the same as well. And the joint collaboration of all the members and the foundation is towards making blockchain easier, better, and more predictable to different use cases and industry scenarios. So, we at Zeeve, we've been working with enterprise use cases for some good time already. It's been like, 7 years that this team has spent with blockchain. And we've been, one of the teams who have been part of Hyperledger Fabric, implementations when it was very infant, the version 0.5, as I remember last. So, we've been, working on Hyperledger Fabric since then. And, during our journey on working with Hyperledger Fabric for different implementations, we realized that it's not just about implementing a solution. It's about covering a lot of ground around it and about it too, which includes setting up the network, configuring it, going live, maintaining the production SLA, and there are challenges which needs to be met. So we created Zeeve as an automation platform so that the whole ecosystem becomes complete, and there are use cases which can leverage a lot of capabilities out of this automation to go to the market faster and meet promises of having a more stable, reliable, and enterprise grade blockchain solution built on Hyperledger Fabric. So the concept of Zeeve started with automation of the configuration and deployments, but then it have gone across in terms of making it a perfect solution for a proper Hyperledger Fabric driven consortium as well. So Zeeve as a platform supports multiple protocols. It supports multiple clouds. It supports all sort of flexibilities. For example, using either your own cloud or using the managed services from Zeeve, both. And beyond just setup configuration as an activity, you would also have monitoring and analytical capabilities available to it. So we would be demonstrating all this. I'll keep my conversation shorter because it's all about hands-on and seeing how to do Hyperledger Fabric better, faster, and in no time. So the feature set which any enterprise use case would require consists of 3 primary pillars. One is about the network security and its management itself, and then operations, which are mostly about the DevOps and engineering side, and then the application ecosystem of it, which are primarily the chain code side of things. So we would cover all these 3 pillars in bits, specifically including the CI/CD. So I'll simply pass it on to Sankalp to take it from here and run us through what is going to happen today.
Yeah, hi everybody. Zeeve for Hyperledger Fabric, as Sanjay spoke, we support a variety of protocols, and the one that we'll be focusing on today is Hyperledger Fabric. So what does Zeeve provide to Hyperledger Fabric engineers across the world? So We allow network management, create scale, onboard your stakeholders onto your network. You can add your nodes, you can stop your nodes, restart your nodes, recreate them, all what you want. So it's proper scaling at your requirements. Monitoring and at network level and node level, so quite important when you're dealing with enterprise grade monitoring, chain code packaging and deployment. So a lot of times the confusion with smart contracts is that you have one author to smart contracts, but ultimately it has to be packaged at a lot of places. It has to be put onto the decentralized network in a very neat manner, coming from that one author. So it allows you to manage your chain codes and be able to spread them across your networks. CLI-based operations for integration with any tool. So you can use Zeeve as a deployment tool as part of your Terraform scripts or Ansible or anything at this point, because of our CLI utility tool of Zeeve CLI. And that basically means that we can allow integrations of any automation for any other tool that you may already be using. We also provide alerts and logging for blockchain services, which is quite important at times, especially at the time of development, or if something is going wrong, you would need to have your engineers be able to take a look of what is going on inside your network. Fully flexible fabric topology. So it's quite important to imagine your fabric network according to the roles, that who can be the block publisher, who can be a peer, and who can be holding a CA node and similar. So you need to have possibility of very flexible topology where you can add orders to different organizations and divide your roles in that sort. 24/7 support for Zeeve blockchain DevOps experts. So of course, based on your plan and subscription, you would be by default allowed to our engineers for your own benefit to figure out what kind of requirements you want. We can help you out with those. So now we can also maybe perhaps see how Hyperledger Fabric helps in CI/CD process for everyday project, because once you deploy it, it needs to be able to provide continuous upgrades. It needs to actually do a lot of things like making sure that your certificates are rotated on time for your Fabric deployments, that you are given alerts every time whenever some rotation needs to happen, or you're let's say monitoring something. You need to fix your resources that you're consuming within the network. So those things considered. CI/CD is something that is quite important for our Fabric developers, and you can basically use again our CLI tool for the purpose of automating it all. You can, what we'll show in the demonstration today is that how we use GitHub for the purpose of maintaining our code version, and from there onwards, how again we use GitHub workflows to be able to demonstrate how a CI/CD process of Hyperledger Fabric chain code can be done using the Zeeve CLI tool. So based on your configurations of which kind of peers, peers or whole network, if that's what you want the deployment on, you can actually just configure it in the tool and it will do it all for you. And on the panel, you'll be able to see the logs of what's going on, where has it reached, and are the continuous backup or not. So what we'll do at this point is that we'll perhaps show you a demonstration of all of this. I think Lakshay, maybe you can bring your screen on and we can go through the demonstration.
Yeah, sure. All right, my screen should be visible by now.
Yeah, we can see it.
All right, so yeah, this is Zeeve's website, a place where you can look up what Zeeve is going to do next, what we have already incorporated in terms of protocols, in terms of new features that we're launching onto platform. So let's say if you want to check what is happening on protocol section, you can watch a quick video on how to deploy your first networks, whether it is for Fabric or Ethereum or Polygon or much more protocols. Or maybe if you just want to sign up or log in into an existing user, you can do that as well. So yeah, let's log into our Zeeve account. So this is the basic sign up page where you can, use your Google credentials or your GitHub credentials to sign up, or maybe you can fill up this entire form to create a new user. So I'll be using my own user to go through with this demonstration. All right. Should be done. Yeah. Yeah, so this is Zeeve's dashboard. This is what a user sees when he or she logs into the Zeeve account for the first time. So my dashboard is looking different because I have already few networks and nodes created inside my Zeeve account. So let's go through them one by one. So in the first section, you'll see cloud usage distribution, which tells you about the networks and nodes that you've deployed, in different clouds. So few of my nodes are running inside DigitalOcean, and some of my nodes are running inside AWS cloud. If I had for a few more nodes in GCP or Azure, the graph would be different. So it can help you, visualize your cloud usage spendings, or if you want to distribute your nodes and workloads across different clouds. And then there is a workspace, different Zeeve components which can help you understand your Zeeve account and better get connected with your Zeeve account. So there are workspaces that you can create. Workspaces are again your logical entities which hold your networks and nodes. You can imagine creating a workspace for a department or a set of networks, or domains, for example supply chain workspace or NFT workspaces to hold your NFT networks and nodes. Similarly, there are a number of networks that you have deployed inside your Zeeve account, and then nodes that are associated to all of your Zeeve networks. And then there are shared API endpoints, which we'll talk about more in coming demonstration. And then there are clouds that you have already authorized with your Zeeve account. So in order to use Zeeve networks or deploy Zeeve networks, there are two ways you can go by BYOC approach. We call that, which is bring your own cloud approach, where you deploy your own where you authorize your own cloud account with Zeeve, and Zeeve only provisions networks, and all the data that is being created by blockchain nodes are associated with your cloud accounts and services, and Zeeve only helps you provision these resources and services. So I have two cloud accounts associated, which is again DigitalOcean and AWS, and then protocol-wise distribution, where it tells you about how many number of networks you've deployed, in each protocol. And in the section down below, you'll see system health details, like active number of nodes, if there are any open support tickets, if there are any inactive number of nodes, any warnings according to your node usage or network usages, any fatal issues or invites that are pending in your Zeeve account, and if any of the products have been installed from Zeeve Marketplace into your networks. All right. So in order to start creating and deploying your networks, the first thing that you would want to do is associate your cloud accounts if you're going to go with BYOC approach. So for that, you can come to cloud section, and then there you can select my cloud. And when you click my cloud, you'll see the clouds that Zeeve supports as of now. So I have my AWS account connected here. If you want to connect your own AWS account, you can click add AWS cloud, and then there you'll see a small form which is going to ask you about your programmatic access key and your secret key, which can be created when you go into IAM section of your AWS account. And similarly, you can provide a credential name to it for us to just to help you identify why this credential was created. Let's say you're going to use different credentials for your prod networks and different credentials for your dev or staging networks. And then again, you can provide additional label to these credentials, which helps you identify again. So when you add cloud, Zeeve will verify if the credentials are valid and if the permissions are valid. And after you've successfully associated the permissions, the credentials will be added onto your Zeeve account. Same goes for every other cloud as well. I mean, with DigitalOcean as well, you can click Add DigitalOcean Cloud, and you'll see a pop-up again, which is going to ask you to give the programmatic API key, which you can create from your DigitalOcean API access section. All right, so I think we can. Yeah, before we come to networks, I think we should also cover API credentials as well. So API credentials are again a programmatic access that you can create for Zeeve. So using Zeeve as a web platform is one thing, and again you can use Zeeve as a CLI tool, which helps you manage your network operations like chain code CI/CD pipelines, or with different networks like Corda. It again helps you with the product deployment that has inside your Corda nodes. So let's say we want to create a key for our network. We can provide it a name. Let's say Hyperledger demo. Let's say HF demo, and then decide the service type. If you want this key to be used for a network, or for Zeeve's decentralized file service, but we're going to create it for network. Then you can decide for which network you want to create it for. Let's say you want to create it for a network that you've already deployed. You can again associate it with multiple networks, and then you can assign permissions to it if you just wanted to run pipelines, or if you also wanted to read your network or add nodes to it, or maybe view pipelines that have already been created inside your networks. So you can do that. So when you create key, you're going to get an access key and a secret key, which you can copy, and then you can integrate this with your Zeeve CLI tool, which we'll cover in upcoming demonstration. Right. After that, we have subscriptions. So every node or every network that we want to deploy is first has to be subscribed through these subscriptions. I have 2 subscriptions here for my Fabric and Ethereum networks that I've deployed here already. So if you want to subscribe more, let's say you ran all your code and you want to subscribe more, or with the Zeeve services, you can subscribe more. And if you want to update your existing subscription, you can do that as well here. So when you do click update, it will take you to the payments page where you can check out with the payment details. All right, I think we can jump onto workspaces then. So I have divided into, so there are 3 workspaces that I've divided, one for Fabric networks, one for Carda networks, and one for public nodes and networks. So if you want to create a new workspace, you can just click new workspace button here, and it will ask you to provide a workspace name and a short description to why you're creating this workspace. After you've created your workspace, you can come right onto networks section. Right, so my account already has a few networks created, which we'll explore in a few minutes. After you come here, you'll see an add network button in your account because there are no networks in a fresh account. So when you do that, you'll click add network button, and it shows you the subscription that you've already bought. If you haven't bought any subscription, you'll see a blank just a card which tells you to buy subscription. So when you buy subscription, you're going to see all the protocols that are supported, which are public and permission protocols. So let's say I want to buy a subscription for Hyperledger Fabric. I click Hyperledger Fabric button, and in there it is going to ask me if I want to go with Zeeve managed cloud approach, or again BYOC, which is bring your own cloud approach. So let's say I want to go with BYOC, and in there it is going to ask me if I want what cloud account I want to go with. So let's say I want to go with AWS. And then I can decide, the requirements, according to my requirements of networks. So I have few CAs that I have to create inside my Zeeve networks. And then I have to deploy orders, and I'll select orders, and then peers. And then also I can identify or mention the number of CA nodes and peer services that I want to create inside my Zeeve subscription. So yeah, after you've decided your subscription quantities, you can subscribe to it. It will again take you to the payments page where you have to check out with the payment details. So let's jump right on to network creation. All right, so I'll go to add network, and then I'll select the subscription that I already have. All right, so then you'll come to the create network form for Fabric, which is so when you see Fabric network creation, you'll see it is divided into four detailed steps. The first step is to decide what Fabric version you want to go with. So let's say I want to go with 1.4. So when I decide if I choose 1.4, I have consensus choice between these three consensus type, which is Raft, Solo, and Kafka. But let's say I want to go with the 2.2 version, then I only have Raft consensus available because other consensus choice have been deprecated in 2.2. After deciding my Fabric version, I can click next. And in there, I have to decide my organizational structure, how many organizations I want inside my network. So when I click add organization button, it is going to create a pop-up which is going to ask me, details about my organization. So first thing is to name my organization. So let's say I want to name it org1, and then I can decide my CA's admin username. So let's say I want to name it admin CA for org1, and then I have to decide my password as well for admin CA. So admin CA org1 again. And then I can decide if I want to create this CA service with the persistent volume. So all these deployments of Fabric services are going to be created or deployed inside a EKS cluster, which is going to be deployed on my AWS cloud account. So if you decide to go with a CA persistent volume, it is going to hold all of your data, which is going to be produced by this CA service. I can provide the size to it if I want to, again according to my network requirement. So let's say I want to go with 5 GB. So or maybe I can disable it just because I am going to create a demo network and I don't really need these resources. So again, yeah, that is a choice that you have to make if you're going to create a dev network or a staging network or a testing network. Then maybe creating persistent volumes for your servers is not a good choice or good idea because it adds more onto your cloud cost. Same goes with ordering services as well. We can add more orders into your networks. If you want to have only one order into an organization, you can have one only. And then again, with ordering services, you get to decide if you want to have a persistent volume for your ordering services as well. With PS services,
yeah, just a point here. So it's advised to have persistent volumes enabled if you're going for stable higher environments. And yeah, so what it allows is to have very flexible topology as you would want in a Hyperledger Fabric network without any restrictions of which party can participate at the order level or which party can only participate at a peer level within an organization. So this flexible topology with the options, these options are quite helpful at the time of architecting your applications. Yeah.
Right, correct. Right. So after you've decided your order details, you can come right on to peer details. So with peer services, you get to choose between the choice of database. So by default, peer services starts with level DB. And again, if you want to, if you're deploying a production-based chain code or smart contract, we can go with CouchDB. Or even if our smart contract has complex queries where they have to run a lot of migrations, then we can go with CouchDB. So if you decide to go with CouchDB, again, you can decide to have your CouchDB to have more persistent volume, and you can decide the size for the CouchDB service as well. So let's say I want to go with the level DB here only. And the last detail that I have to fill out, which is again optional, would be to change my certificate signing request, which again creates my creates all the certificates for the Fabric services with these details that I fill out here. Right. So after I'm done with deciding my organization structure, I can click next. So when I click next, the last detail is to channel details.
Yeah, just on the CSR is just your legal identity of the node. So it's quite important at times when you're having production networks and you expect consortium to grow larger. It's a good idea to put those CSR details in because that represents you in that network. Yeah.
Right. So at channel details, I get to decide if I want to modify my system channel details again according to my own network use case. And after deciding channel details, Zeeve also lets you decide your application channel, which is going to be a default channel when your Fabric services start. or maybe act as bootstrap channel when your network initiates, for the first time. So let's say I want to create an application channel with my channel name. So not only is it will create it, it will also make sure that all the peers that you've created inside your organization structure join this particular channel. Right. So after I hit next, the last step that I have to complete is to decide my cloud settings. So I have to name my network, which could be again a demonstration network. And in your case, it could be supply chain network or a finance network. And then I have to decide my workspace. So again, these workspaces could be different for your use case. I'll just choose Fabric Networks here, and then the cloud account that I want to go with. So in my case, it is Zeeve development cloud account. And then in what region you would want to deploy your workloads or network onto. So I'm choosing the AP South one, which is India's Mumbai region. And number of worker nodes that you want to go with for your EKS deployment. That is 3 number of nodes for me. And then the size of your worker groups or worker nodes that you want to go ahead with. So let's say I want to go with T3 medium here. All right, so that is it. I have completed all my network details. All I have to do is click create.
Right.
It is going to check.
A couple of things in just this one page here. We have configured bring your own cloud and AWS, which is already something that we have pre-selected in our one of the initial steps. But users have the options of choosing different clouds as well as the managed, which is that you don't have to bring your own cloud here. You can just select an existing cloud of our Zeeve platform, that the one that will provide, and you can deploy your networks there itself. So all of that is there, and then you can choose your machine sizes as you want again, as Lakshay just mentioned, for based on your own performance, of course, requirements.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So we have created our first network for Fabric. All I have to do is click continue. Now this deployment is going to take some time because it creates a Kubernetes cluster in the background, and then it starts, deployment of my network services. So even if I click, if I create it, I'll see that although these services are here, but still they are being created in the background. So for us to help us out with how a fully deployed network looks like, I have a network created here already, which I have already created for a small ATM bank application. So when you click your already deployed network, you'll see the services that are inside that network. So Zeeve creates again a unique identity for all of your services, and with that you'll see the cloud account or cloud provider that these services were created using, and then which organization these services belong to.